So we're going to learn the last piece here that we didn't learn this morning, and it's kufchaf. So it's the bottom of Neiser Bazman. Actually, maybe missing a word in the Bach. May add something in. It says Aval Azman v'Neiser. It's out of order. Zman v'Neiser v'Tam Yishav Zebazeh. Learn that there's two types of sacrifices. One that was on the inner altar. One was on the mizbeach that was in the base of English, and one that was brought on a bama katana. Brought a private altar outside during the special times when that was allowed, in between the Shiloh and the base of Mikdash, it was allowed. So we said differences between each type of sacrifice, but when it comes to Neisar, that means if it's left over, the amount of time that a person has to eat the sacrifice, or Tameh, or if the person is Tameh that's bringing it, if the animal becomes Tameh, that should be the same when it comes to either sacrifice. How do we know that the laws of the amount of time, actually Zman would mean not the amount of time, Zman would mean laws of pigul, that a person has thoughts of the appropriate time when he has to eat it. How do we know that that applies also to the bama katana? So Amra Torah, this is it's questionable if this is supposed to be part of the text. Amra Torah, the Torah says, Lon Yisarif. If it's left overnight, then you have to burn it, right? Pigul Yisarif. And if you have the wrong thoughts that you're going to sprinkle the blood in the wrong time, you also have to burn it. Ma pigul pasal b'mama, just like pigul is a prohibition in a bama, right? If it's aflan pasal b'bama. So the problem with this is that with this version of the text, is that it's telling me something that I didn't know, as if we know it already. So some of the commentators say to switch it around, and it's supposed to go the opposite. It's supposed to say, Ma lon pasal bebama, af pigel pasal bebama, and you would do it the opposite, and then that would make sense. That's the Rashash. Or maybe we have to have a different thought and go a different way. The Amra Torah, because the Torah says lon yisarif, it says it's something that's left overnight, right? It's left overnight. In a Yotze Yisarif, and also if it's taken out of the temple, you have to burn it. So my Yotze Kasher Bebama, just like there's no such thing as taking something, there's taking something out of the temple, but there's no such thing as taking something out of a Bama Katana. Bama Katana is a private altar that's not even in the temple. There's no concept of Yotze. So just like Yotze is Kasher, so Aflan, Kasher Bebama, also if it's left overnight, by a Bama Katana, the same law should apply. If you compare it to Yotze, then lon is not going to be, lon means it's left overnight. It's not going to be a problem. Gemara says, V'lav kal b'chaymeru. V'lav kal b'chaymeru mi'ayfus, but we can learn a kal b'chaymer from birds. It goes like this. Ma ayfus, when it comes to birds, that there's no problem with the blemish in a bird. There's only a problem with the missing limb, but it's just the defect in the bird is not a problem. However, by a bird, zman paisel b'hem, but you have the laws of zman, which means the thoughts of pigul by a bird. If a person has the thoughts that he's going to sprinkle the blood or in the wrong time, then that would invalidate the sacrifice of the bird. So kachei b'maktana. So when it comes to the sacrifices of the private altar, that there is the concept of a blemish in these sacrifices. For sure, then the laws of pigul should apply to the Bama Katana. The Gemara says maybe you can't learn like that because Mala Oifish Shekain Azar Kashabem. When it comes to Shekain Ein Azar Kashabem, when it comes to birds, you have a special law, not a special. When it comes to birds, a non-kohen would invalidate it. Timer Bama Katana Shazar Kasherba. But when it comes to a private altar, you're allowed to use a non-kohen on a private altar. So the Gemara says. So therefore, Le'ezman possible, it shouldn't be invalid. So how are we going to know if the laws of pigul apply to a Bama Katana? Because you learn it like this, you learn it like that. Talmud Laimar, so we have a pasuk that says, this is the laws of a peace offering, and it's coming to tell me that there's one law for all the all the offerings, and it teaches us, Zman Bama Katana Kisman Bama Gedayla. It's coming to teach me that same law applies, the law that applies to a private altar, to a public altar, also applies to the private altar. Just like the public altar has this law of pigel, so too the private altar has. Hajjal noch paras chatzis likul law, sefter Zavachim, Hajjal noch paras chatzis sefter Zavachim. Just a pshat, possible pshat, because the professor asked, what does this mean for us? So maybe the bama is the mizbeach is what's prescribed, exactly the Torah law, exactly what we do. And then the bama is associated with gaiva, I think, and it's with someone's your own inspiration. The bama is your own inspiration, and the mizbeach is what the Torah tells us that we're supposed to do. So the question over here is, when you have your own inspiration, what limitations do, like what's the, you have to be very careful. People with their own inspiration, they can end up with all types of things. No, but this is what I feel. I feel like this, I feel like that. We have special halachas that compare. The laws are the same, they're not the same. You have to be careful. You can't take your own inspiration. It's good to have inspiration, but sometimes if it's not proscribed by the Torah, it's not always okay. I have to pause. My wife is calling. I'm sorry. 1 second. 1 second. Put the pause. Okay. Let's stop recording. Recording.